Special thanks to Jubbers Productions for their help with this episode. Welcome to Hellish. I'm Daniel Whelan and this is Hell's Waiting Room. Each week, a damned soul is brought to me so I can extract their infernal playlist, the 5 tracks they will be doomed to listen to for the rest of eternity. With me, as always, is Satan's personal T-boy, the bringer in of souls, and the strict overseer of audio gremlins, Mr. Alex Gale. Hello, Alex.
Hey, Daniel.
How are you today, Alex?
I'm unwell.
Oh, right.
But I'm soldiering on. I've
Okay.
just eaten a piece of dry bread, and that's
Okay.
That's made the world of difference.
Really? Is that a new kind of medicine?
That is a
bread?
new kind of medicine. I've also got a bag of sweets,
Oh, okay.
which I will be snacking on.
Lovely. I will look forward to editing out all the crinkly packets. Thank you for that. So I see you have brought a freshly damned soul along with you today. Who might this be?
Well, this time I've got the English actor Kellie Shirley. Kellie is fondly remembered by viewers of the soap opera EastEnders, where she played drink-throwing car mechanic Carly Wicks. But since then, she's appeared in loads of things, including Idris Elba's In the Long Run. And she was also a Celebrity Fundraiser of the Year twice, and is an ambassador for the charities Anthony Nolan, MenCap, and Magpie Dance.
Kellie Shirley, welcome to Hell.
Thank you for having me in Hell. I like the place very much.
That's great. Although I have to say, I'm a little bit concerned because I do need to check that Alex has got this right, because it seems from your biography there that you might actually be too good for Hell. Alex, can you just check that we've got the right person?
Listen, somebody sent me a video here of Kellie punching people, spitting in a woman's face. It's definitely legit.
Oh, Alex, I think you might have got her confused with her EastEnders character, mate.
Oh, shit.
Is that? Do you throw many drinks, Kellie, normally in real life?
Can I just say that I remember that scene really well, where I had to spit in Linda Henry's face, and obviously you can't physically spit in someone's face because that's wrong. So I had to have a paintbrush with some KY jelly on it, and I had to flick the KY into her face at the right time, and we were just obviously just finding it hilarious, and nobody else was. But yeah, with drinks, someone said to me the other day about they'd seen my show reel for a job, and literally every single scene had me in different shows, but drinking quite heavily.
But you were managing to hold on to the drink in those other ones, I assume. It's not all
actually,
drink throwing.
In the Office Christmas specials, I chucked a drink in Ricky Gervais's face, so I did that there, and yeah, obviously in EastEnders. I think I do have form for it, and other things. Yeah,
you've been typecast as a drink thrower. That is a shame.
As a pisshead. Yeah.
Okay, so assuming that you're not too good to be down here, what have you done to deserve this? Why are you here then? In that case,
in Hell.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I do try to be a good person as much as possible, but I do have a side to me.
Oh.
And it does sometimes bubble up, and
okay.
So I don't exactly have a halo above my head, I'm afraid.
Okay, so you heard it here first, listeners. Kellie Shirley is just pretending to be nice, and she's really just a terrible rage monster. Okay, so Kellie, you are going to be with us while Hell's HR department finds you a job to do. We'll be using the time to set up your infernal playlist, the 5 tracks you'll meet in Hell. We'll get to the songs in a moment, but first, Tracy in HR wants to know what the worst job you've ever done is. Now, this could be a former career, or it could be a particular acting job. We wouldn't expect you to name names, obviously, but if
that's no fun.
Well then, hey, go ahead, please. I always say that in the hope that someone will name names, so please do.
I've got a job that was both. I really loved it. It was working in a nursing home, and I really enjoyed talking to the client. They're called clients when you work in the clients,
right?
Which sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? I think calling them clients anyway. Anyway, And because obviously they've lived such a long life, they were fascinating and spanned a few decades, but not all people. A bit like what I'm saying about me, but not to say that I'm horrible, because I'm not. But not all nice people. People that are old are nice, are they?
No, they're people as well.
They're people,
there's
yeah, and
horrible,
people are
bad
flawed.
old people.
Exactly, Alex, exactly. And so, anyways, when I was working at the nursing home, I loved doing the bingo calling and like painting toenails and having a chat. But there was a time when one of the residents was sick on me in a disabled toilet, and I was sick directly back at them afterwards. And so we were just both covered in sick. And I can just about cope with my children sick, but when it is an adult human,
yeah,
it's another level. And I was thinking, I'm not getting paid enough for this. It was pretty grim, and the poor lady, it was just awful. That was pretty bad.
Oh God, that does sound pretty horrible. Well, we'll be feeding that information to Tracy. She'll be putting you into the hell algorithm, and we'll see what comes out at the end. You never know what you might end up doing.
Although it's usually the worst thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
Repeated back at you.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Tracy only really has about 45 minutes to think what she is going to get you to do in hell, and sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she forgets, and at the very end she has to make it up quite quickly on the spot. Okay, we mentioned in the intro a lot of the things you do. I definitely want to talk about in the long run, which I have really enjoyed catching up on.
Oh, good.
Before that, I wanted to ask you a little bit about EastEnders, which I'm sure you're probably fed up of hearing about.
It's only been 20 years of talking about it.
Exactly.
It's fine.
So, what I'm interested about is more. It's not really about when you're on EastEnders. It's what happens when you come off EastEnders. There was, I think it's changed a bit now, but there was a time in the UK where there was a little bit of snobbery about soap actors, about people who had been in soaps. And
it still is.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you still find that? Did you find it hard when you came off it? And because you've done lots of cool stuff since, but does it cast a long shadow? I suppose is the question I was wondering about.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's saying a double-edged sword, isn't it? If I learned so much on the programme, I met some amazing people that have had an incredible effect on my life. I always waffle on about Barbara Windsor because she was one of those people that I was so grateful to have in my life, because she's not only was an actor, an incredible human being, but she was an icon. She just, no matter where you went in the world, everybody knew about her, and she just was. She had the best anecdotes. She had the filthiest laugh. She was very naughty. And I am a magnet to those kind of people.
Right.
But in terms of the work, when it's good, it's really good, and it can be very current. And when they're writing for you, it's brilliant. But when they're not, it can be really frustrating, obviously. And like you say, there is a snobbery in this country about soaps, about soap actors, which even now I find it difficult sometimes to get in the room for certain jobs because I'm seen as a soap actress. But then, and on the flip side, I sound awful. I've got my own place because of it, and I'm very grateful for that. And I wouldn't have been able to have that without EastEnders starting me off, and the Office Christmas specials and stuff. So it's a mixture of things. When I started in it, it was like millions of people would watch EastEnders because there wasn't Netflix, there wasn't Amazon Prime, it was just 5 TV channels, and so I was recognised loads. And
I was going to say it's like a kind of another level of fame, isn't it, to be in a British soap like that? You're like sort of Paul McCartney level of fame. Whenever you walk into a room, everyone knows who you are, because literally 15 million people have been watching you like 5 nights a week, or however many nights it is on.
Yeah,
and it must be quite weird that I saw you. You had a baby a couple of years ago?
A year ago. Yeah.
And you put something on Instagram, and then the next day or whatever, it's in a tabloid newspaper. That's got to be quite weird.
It was, and I was a bit annoyed about that because I got all giddy putting it on Instagram, and I bloody shouldn't have. What, such a twat doing that. All excited about showing him off, but I'd signed I signed my soul away to OK Magazine, and because I'd done that, I wasn't able to get money.
Oh no!
And so I was like, oh shit!
Oh
it wasn't
no!
Exclusive, but you know. That whatever.
Yeah, there isn't anything you've sold recently that we need to steer away from, is there? Are we're gonna be okay today? I don't have to tiptoe over anything that OK might come and get me for.
Well, yeah, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, but that, like you said, that is mad, isn't it? How quickly the press and I even though I've been in this business for 20 years, I forget stuff like that. That as soon as you put something on, of course, like it gets picked up. So I have to be careful sometimes with what I put, and like, especially like I'm a real lefty as well, and I often get into trouble with my dad because I've said something that my mum's read on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it's called now, and my dad tells me off about it because it shows my political views and stuff, and I'm like,
so why doesn't because he disagrees with you, or because he thinks that it's better to not have any political views in the job you do?
He thinks it's better to be ambiguous, and but
then
I think Taylor Swift is that what she is, ambiguous?
She was ambiguous, but then I think she's holding in her ambiguousness to come out at a later date when it's more important, I think.
Oh.
If you see what I mean, she's going to drop her endorsement a little nearer the vote, I think.
Oh, okay.
I see. Okay. Tactical.
Yeah.
Yes, tactical ambiguity.
I mean, I think that's how you get to be the most famous and richest artist in the world. That's,
But by shutting up until the time is
just
right.
by being very like meticulously controlling about every element of what you do, I imagine. Which is no fun, is it, Kelly?
Which is what my dad is probably telling me to do, but I'm not Taylor Swift, and I do get annoyed at the Tories, and I have to say things, and
You should. I don't know. Well, it's easy for me to say because I can just gob off on a podcast. But I suppose I don't have to think about who's looking at my Instagram.
But that's a good thing, though, isn't it? That we do have freedom. We can say stuff that and the things that we're saying, I guess, aren't terrible. We probably align with the same ideas.
Yes.
About equality and
Yeah, well, I once saw someone on a I can't remember who it was. Forgive me, but they said the problem is that facts are left wing, and I think that's quite good. Like so things like environment issues. The left wing tend to be on them. Facts are actually on our side there.
Yeah,
and I think that happens with a lot of things. Is that facts are on the side, and then the other side is more keen on kind of emotion, but sadly emotion tends to win over facts.
Well, it won't. Was it 1 month? Well, in however many weeks
days.
From when this goes out.
Okay.
I should imagine that facts will be thrashing emotion.
So in the long run,
Yes.
Sorry, Kelly. Before I go on to in the long run, I'm going to say is that I've had such fun looking at your career over the time that I've been preparing to meet you. It's been really fun to kind of like spot little appearances and all the little things you've done. But in the long run is a standout one for me because that is such a fun character, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you doing more of that?
Well, weirdly, we got a message this week about meeting up for a chat about the future of it.
Oh, okay, that's exciting.
So, I don't know. Until I've had this chat, I don't really know. All I know is that Idris has got a new production company, and he has bought a film studios.
Oh wow!
I think in Sierra Leone, but I might be wrong. I probably am wrong. I always am. Please check my facts. Where he's bought his film studios, but he wants to spread the love and use crew and cast and have stories from his heritage, and in the long run he's a prime example of that is, it's about a boy coming over from Sierra Leone, coming to England, living, being put in a council estate in East London, and it's loosely, but is
Right.
based on his life. Obviously, it's comedy, but it doesn't shy away from all the the racism and funny old times at the 80s where Thatcherism and it was a fantastic show. It was kind of like only Horse and Horses almost, because you don't have very many authentically working class series like that really have that authenticity about them and a real melting pot of cultures and like the working class, like I said.
It's it like you have that great ensemble cast there, but you also, one of the things I love about it is that it's such a warm show without being either cozy or trite. Like you say, it's not afraid to kind of look at racism and look at things that were going on in the 80s and the experience of somebody who is coming maybe from another country to live here. But it manages not to be mean or nasty or cynical, and I just think that's a really hard trick to pull off. For it to be funny as well, as that's quite something. I hope you do get to make more of it.
Oh, me too. It was my favourite job, and I've made some great friends from it. It's a proper family show, and the soundtrack was amazing. It's very nostalgic.
Oh, the music is brilliant.
Yeah.
All the way through. I was watching an episode before where they used the Grange Hill theme tune at the beginning of it, which was just beautiful, like beautifully timed use of the Grange Hill theme. There is one more thing I'd like to talk to you about before we get into your Infernal playlist, if that's okay,
yes.
Kelly.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm really interested in this podcast that you've got coming out. So it's called Roar, is that right?
Yeah, as in roar, like a lioness.
And it is a drama.
Mm-hmm.
You've got quite a cast together for that as well.
Oh yes, I've pulled lots of favours.
Okay. Well, Alex and I are no strangers to pulling favours on the podcast, so we know what that feels like. Can you tell us a little bit about it and when it's coming on?
Yeah, so it's a 6-part drama. Each episode of about 24 minutes. It's loosely based on something happened to me when I was a kid, but I've written it in contemporary times so that I had a bit of distance about it. We've collaborated with a charity called the Children's Society, so any money that might possibly be made from it will be put in the pot for the Children's Society for projects where kids are groomed and experience sexual assault. 1 in 20 children in the UK will experience sexual assault in their lives. It's obviously a massive statistic, and only 2% of cases actually go to prison. Get a conviction. Sorry, where the perpetrator will go to prison. When they do go to prison, it's so minimal. It's for 12 months, and obviously they'd be out in 6 a lot of the time. So it's like shining a light on how terrible the justice system is, and just the enormity, how big a problem it is. But even though that's a theme within it, it's not all bleak because from how I've grown up and my life, and it just hasn't been all doom and gloom, and something did happen to me. And I like I say, it's not a carbon copy of what happened. It's not autobiographical in that sense, but like elements of my story I've put into it. Anyway, so it was very cathartic to write, but it's quite difficult to talk about still. And like I said, I've got an amazing cast. Got Lorraine Ashbourne and Danny Dyer and Laura Checkley, Richie Campbell, Krupatani, who else? Aisha Kala, just some amazing actors involved in it who read the script and thought it was worth doing. And
Is this your first thing as a writer? or have you done anything else before?
I've been in development hell
Right.
for on a couple of projects for years and years and years, and never managed to get past kind of like a script commission. But this is like the first thing that's kind of like got away, which is brilliant. And so I'm very excited and nervous and feel sick about it. And I really hope people listen to it. It's out on the 15th. Oh no, 14th, Friday the 14th of June, across all podcast platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it not? Is it a bit scary putting it out there?
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. But I think because it's, like I say, elements of my life and not exactly my life, kind of makes it a bit easier. But also, I want people to know there is authenticity about it, and that I haven't kind of like been writing about something that I didn't know about as well. I think is important as well, and also that I've got like the stamp of approval from the Children's Society, and that's hopefully some good will come of it. I think that's important, that from every bad experience that some good can hopefully happen. Otherwise, fucking hell, it's just too much.
Well, we'll put this out to match your podcast coming out, so just so more people can get to hear about it. So,
thank you.
So it will be available now, listeners. Can they listen? Is it on all podcast platforms, or do they have to have a special particular one?
No, I think it's going to be across the board and all on everything.
Awesome.
I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah.
Okay, so listeners, whatever you are listening to us on now, you need to get over there and look up "Raw" by Kellie Shirley. So, Kellie, we are now going to get into your Infernal playlist. We're going to start with a song you used to like that now makes you cringe. So, what is that?
I can't remember which one I said.
Oh,
because there's so many. Is it a Madonna one I've gone for?
No, I will play it for you.
Okay.
It's this. Kellie did not pick the Hellish theme tune. She picked Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, and we have decided not to play it into the podcast, partly because of the way that Kellie said it made her feel when she heard it, and partly because I think to play it would make us hypocrites, and we don't want to be that. You can probably guess some of the things we're about to talk about. It is very light, it is very gentle, but I understand if you might want to skip this next bit. You can. You want to skip forward to 30 minutes and 39 seconds to miss it.
Well, that speaks for itself after what I've just spoken about.
It does, doesn't
really?
it? So I'm going to let Alex, I'm sure not many people need any context for this song, but I'm going to let Alex give us some song facts and then we will get into it.
Yeah, it's going to sound really trite now. I come up with some random facts about the recording of that.
Alex, come and tell us your funny stuff.
Yeah. It's Michael Jackson, third single from Thriller, which is quite literally the best-selling album of all time.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, and a bit random, it was the drums are played by the drummer from Toto on that track. And it went to number 1, and the video has 80 actual gang members from the Crips and Bloods in it.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so Kellie, let's just go into this. So,
wow, yeah.
You used to like this song, you don't anymore.
What happened in the meantime?
Yeah.
Well, I used to love this song and Michael Jackson as a whole. I used to go upstairs, make little dance routines in my bedroom, and you know he's iconic. Again, you know, he's one of those people that is more than just an artist. Is an icon, and even if I'm in like a dance class, or not that I've been able to do much exercise recently, but any kind of exercise class, and I play it, it makes my blood run cold now. And I obviously watched the documentary that was out, and I know there's been lots and lots of talk about it, and people are very divided about it, about how genuine the guys are who say that they were groomed by him. But in my mind, it's you just don't it's so obvious. You can tell by the way that they speak, and that their accounts are so similar, even though they haven't met. That it happened to them, and so and also regardless of somebody being so mega famous and a brilliant artist, and just incredible, doesn't mean they can't do bad things. Doesn't mean that they're not a perpetrator. Doesn't mean they didn't do what Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is. I think it maybe is a conversation, maybe not that we need to have now, but it is a conversation that we need to have as a culture, to talk about why we're happy to ignore behaviour from some artists,
Yeah,
and not from others.
I think it's just to do with how good their product is. It's like no, everyone was very happy to stop listening to Gary Glitter and Rolf Harris,
Right.
yeah.
but we're less happy to stop listening to Michael Jackson and David Bowie, because there's some stuff that David Bowie did.
I didn't know about that.
There's
What,
a girl that came
young
up
girls?
a girl came out in 2015 with an interview. Well, she was a lady then.
Yes.
And said that David Bowie took her virginity at the age of 15.
And how old was he?
He would have been in his 20s or 30s, would he? I think.
This is, if it's the same. I don't know if I want to get into this.
It's so murky, I know.
Yeah.
And it's dark and it's horrible, chap.
So what the thing about Bowie, I think, is that look, I'll say it to you two, but I'll probably end up having to cut this out. But apparently the person in question could not have met Bowie when she was 15.
Right.
And like the years don't match up, apparently.
Right.
But I mean, I don't really want to get in. I don't want to be calling somebody a liar.
Well, we could take Harvey Weinstein instead, a convicted rotter.
Rapist.
Yeah, and but I will quite happily watch a film produced by the Weinstein brothers still. Bit different because he's a part of a bigger picture, but
because you can watch a film without knowing who's the producer, right? Like
you'd have to search, wouldn't you, about who produced it? So, whereas with a big artist like that, for a fact, oh, that's a Michael Jackson song. Where do I stand on this? Do I care? I mean,
yeah. For me, because one of my jobs in a former life was wedding DJ, and it's something that I would get asked for all the time, and I just didn't. I just always brush them off, because I feel like if there's anybody in that wedding that would feel like you do, Kelly, that it would make their blood run cold. I just don't want to be part of that at all. And for me, it's like what he did was so heinous that it eclipses how good any of the songs might be.
Definitely.
And I don't understand why radio doesn't feel the same. Like, I don't understand why he isn't cancelled, basically. I hear him on the radio all the time.
Me too.
Still.
And there was a time after the documentary where Radio 1, BBC 6 Music didn't play him for a year. And then for some reason afterwards, I don't know whether the Michael Jackson estate got involved, or I don't know what happened, but it just started to come back onto the airwaves again. And I was like, oh man, this is difficult.
Yeah, and they're making this film about him now that's going to come out next year. They've done a biopic, and it's
back
an
on the West
official
End.
biopic.
It was off the West End for decades, and now it's gone back in again, isn't it? Thriller.
And it's just weird that we've all just gone, yeah, okay, we're all right with that.
Yeah,
I find that very strange.
I'm now thinking, by the way, of awful things, of other big artists who were all done for terrible things. I remember Pete Townsend.
Yeah, Pete Townsend. He was writing a book. He was
that nobody found any notes about.
Which never was released. It's kind of my theory is that it's like anyone who a newspaper editor, like a broadsheet newspaper editor, if they like you, you don't get busted by U-Tree, but if they think you're shit, you do.
It's a weird thing, and it's unpleasant. I think part of it is that you just don't want your icons, as you said. You don't want your kind of heroes to be, I was going to say human, but actually it's kind of inhuman, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't want them to be, you want them to be nice. You want what they said to you in their music and the part of your heart that it got. You want that protected, and you don't want to discover that you've been sold a lie, do you? It's a bit like I think that's maybe a bit of what happens with Michael Jackson, is that people just love it so much and they're so invested in it that they can't believe it.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm sure lots of people will say some stuff and be on my case about it.
If they do, they can answer to me.
Thank you.
Send them my way.
Hiding away on the North Wales coast.
Yeah, no one knows what I look
They'll
like.
They'll never get you.
They'll never get you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he can very definitely go to hell.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that he's going to be tormenting you while you're in hell, but you know, that is the format, unfortunately. So, track 2 on your Infernal playlist is a song that is universally adored that you cannot stand. Do you need me to remind you what this is as well?
This is only because since I've had my recent baby, I've got 3. I am brain dead. And
I don't know how
tired.
you did that. It would have absolutely killed me if I found out my wife was having another baby. Now we've got 2 kids. One's 10, one's 8 or something, or 9, thereabouts. But if I found out that we were having another, when people tell me they're having a baby, I look at them with deep sympathy. It's not joy at all. I just, oh my God, that sounds awful. So I understand, yeah, how you're knackered.
Yeah, I'm knackered, but he is worth it. He's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
You said that with such conviction, Alex. Hello, Alex's kids. I hope you.
They do listen.
Episode. Yeah. So the answer you gave me was "Patience" by Take That. Okay, so that is Patience by Take That. Alex, give us some facts about Patience by Take That.
It was Take That's first song from their 2006 comeback album, Beautiful World, and it reached number 1 in the UK, stayed there for 4 weeks. In 2009, Nicky Wire of the Manic Street Preachers hailed Patience as the greatest comeback single in history. And the song, as of 2023, had sold 1.2 million copies in the UK.
Okay, so you're coming up against Nicky Wire here, Kelly. tell us about Patience. Tell us about Take That.
I mean, even just listening to it now, it doesn't even sound in tune. I mean, does anybody else think that?
Yeah.
It just sounds like... doesn't sound great to me.
No.
I know loads of people love Take That, but it's cheese on toast for me. And yeah,
is cheese on toast a good thing?
It is when you're hungover, but it's proper cheesy, just too much. Yeah.
Just going by your list of credits, Kelly, I think that you and I might be roughly the same age. Just because of how long you've had a career. I don't want to give away that for your sake or for mine. But when I was young, Take That were one of the bands that all the girls in my class
Yes.
liked. So how did you avoid being bitten by the Take That bug when you were a teenager?
Well, yeah, when I was in beginning of year 7, I guess it must have been, there was a girl who I sat next to in school in my form group called Naomi, and she liked E17, and I was like, E17 is so much cooler and rougher, and she used to bunk off school and go up to Walthamstow and go and sit on Brian Harvey's wall, but I was too scared, and she used to come back and tell me all about it. And then all the Take That girls were just all very goody two shoes, and I like Naomi.
Okay.
She was a bit naughty.
It's that drink throwing demon showing itself even in year 7.
But I do. I even now, like for me, the E17 Christmas song "Stay Now" or "Stay Another Day." I can't remember what it's called. it's just the best for me. I just and I know it's about his brother dying. It's really sad, but just them in their puffer coats as fake snow falls, and and that it's for his brother, and it just gets me every time.
I think that one is. I think because it's not it's not really about Christmas. I think that's part of why that one stands the test of time as well. It's just like you could listen to it outside of the festive season, but I don't think you're allowed to anymore. It just people would tell you to shut it off if you put that on in July.
Did Boyzone get anywhere in the mix, or a Boyzone too late?
No, I didn't. Did you like Boyzone?
No, my sister was big into Boyzone.
My sister was into Boyzone as well, which made me immediately hate them. But
my sister's a couple of years younger than me, so I don't know.
I wasn't into them. Wait, what were the girl group called? There was the girls as well.
Bewitched.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. What do you like, boy?
They were a lot of fun. I liked that record a lot. C'est la vie. I always thought that was
There's a good tune,
yeah.
Okay, so Kelly, that is just about it for part 1.
Yeah.
Our Patreon supporters are about to get some bonus content where you will be giving us the artist you will meet in hell. So if any of you listeners, if you'd like to become a Patreon, head over to patreon.com/hellishpod, where you'll be given a chance to make a cameo in a future episode. If that's not for you, then we are either about to cast you into darkness or play you some adverts, whichever is more annoying. We'll be back in a bit. Please don't skip forward. I've got something different to tell you this week. Regular listeners will know this is normally the part of the show where I try and get you to subscribe to our Patreon. We're not going to do that this week. This week we're doing something a little different. We've decided that we would like to try and help the Children's Society, which is the charity that Kelly's podcast Raw is also supporting. So what we're doing, instead of inciting you to join our Patreon, is that we're offering the extended ad-free version of Kelly's episode for sale for a one-off fee. It will cost $3, which is about £2 something in UK money, and every single penny of that will go to the Children's Society. So whether you'd like to just experience a one-off longer episode of Hellish, maybe you're a big Kelly fan joining us for the first time, maybe you just want to help. If you could do that, head over to patreon.com/hellishpod/shop, where you can buy the episode. patreon.com/hellishpod/shop to buy the extended episode. Thank you very much for supporting the Children's Society. Welcome back to Hellish. We're into part 2 of the 5 tracks Kellie Shirley will meet in hell, and now we're really getting down to it with a track that brings you down. So it could be that it reminds you of a bad time in your life, or it could just be a song that would, as a friend of mine always says, ruin the pub. So what is it going to be?
Well, the Smiths.
So please, let me get what I want this time.
Okay, Alex, what have you got on the Smiths for us?
Well, the Smiths are one of the most popular and critically acclaimed English bands of the 1980s. They're a 4-piece formed in Manchester in 1982 before signing with Rough Trade in 1983. They released their first album in 1984. In the years following their breakup in 1987, the band spent a lot of time in court, with Mike Joyce and Andy Rourke suing Morrissey and Johnny Marr for a larger share of royalties, which they won, with the judge describing Morrissey as devious, truculent and unreliable.
Ooh.
Okay, that's gotta hurt. So, Kelly, why have you picked this? What have you got against the Smiths?
I mean, when I was listening back to the Smiths to pick one that really stands out, they are good. Like, they are good, but and you know how obviously music is such an emotional thing, and it reminds you of a time in your life, and you know, I'm an 80s baby, and I love the 80s and 90s because it reminds me of of growing up, and good and bad, and obviously that music is very much part of it. But when my husband, he's from Rochdale, which is near Manchester, when he gets a bit pissed off, gets a bit down, the Smiths comes on, and I think, oh, here we go. I'm in for a bit of a shitty time.
I'm so glad I clicked please let me get what I want, like the most whiny man baby one of them all.
It is whiny, and it's not a feel good,
No.
It's all like black clouds and just angst and bleh. And
are you going to be in trouble when this goes out now? Is he going to go into a Smith's hole when he hears this?
He's going to have to change his grumpy music to something else.
I know.
Because you're onto him.
I know, yeah. But also, like with Morrissey, that he's really changed, isn't he? He's got older, and his political views and him as a person as a whole is just so not my thing. That again, I couldn't really listen to it anyway. But but even more so now, I just think, as a human being, don't really want to listen to your stuff because of who you are and your political views and the stuff that you've been saying. No,
I've got this theory about Morrissey that he's just a contrarian. That whatever, if the kind of cool people were bang into Nazism or something, he would be the absolute other way. I think he's just like I just
likes to go against the grain.
I think he's just awkward.
I hope you're right about that.
It'd be nice. I mean, it does. Again, I suppose this is becoming a theme of the podcast. That,
it is, isn't it?
Like, how good can your music be to excuse?
The
like,
stuff
what is the scale? What is the scale?
Dickhead scale?
Well, I think it's easier to be like Morrissey has definitely put himself in dickhead camp, right? He's definitely on the dickhead side of things, but I think like being a dickhead, you can probably like having a dickhead view is easier to balance than having been like a right bastard.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? When you've got one of the great things about having a little bit of profile or fame is your voice gets heard, which is what I was going to say about that whole EastEnders thing, which was nice, and being able to align myself with certain charities and be able to kind of like have a bit of a voice about some stuff. But that also can happen, like, with Morrissey, where he's got a platform and he's saying some stuff, about immigration and things like that, and you think, some things are probably best left like to your mates down the pub, maybe. And
it's quite weird as well, because like actors and musicians, they maybe don't know everything about certain subjects.
Yeah.
Yet journalists ask them,
How dare you, Alan?
and listen, like, what do you think about immigration? He's got no clue, but people listen and write it down, and it carries weight. And it's really weird that people are interested in stuff like that from people just because they're famous.
Yeah, because they wrote a hit song in 1986.
Yeah. The weird thing with Morrissey, though, is that it does him no favours. It's not like there are people whom like hitching their star to a weirdo wagon works for, but like.
Right, said
all
Fred.
The people who like Morrissey they're kind of like they're vegetarians, they're not like red meat eating, gun shooting fascists. It's a very weird choice for him, anyway. Well, there we go. Morrissey, you're in hell. Sorry, son. Right,
with me,
with Kelly, you're going to be bothering Kelly.
It.
So, track 4 now is a track you hate by an artist you love.
I really am showing my age. Again, used to make up dance routines in my bedroom to Madonna. Okay. And I remember trying to conquer the Vogue dance. But there's a song of hers that is really shit. It's so bad. And and you know, again, another icon, and so many of her songs are brilliant, and an amazing human being. Well, back then, and you know, to a certain extent now. The only thing about it now is I went to her concert a few years ago, the MDMA concert.
Yeah.
Clever.
And yes, and I remember her son. He's Rocco. Is it Rocco?
Yes,
the one she's
Rocco.
got with Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
And she was in a leather bikini, and you know, doing what Madonna does best, which is slut dropping all over the place.
Right.
As her son is on stage with her, and it was just such a weird, like,
Oh
God.
oh my God, kind of. And I just had lots of flashes of like me being in my bedroom thinking she's amazing, you know, dancing when I'm like 10 years old and thinking wow, and Like a Prayer, and then to seeing her be, you know, 60, I suppose. And just
inappropriate.
It just seems so weird.
In front of her teenage son. I presume he's a teenager, is
Yeah,
he?
he's a teenager.
Yeah, it must be right. More, maybe even. So what is the name of the song? What is the song that
I think it's
we're gonna
called
be singing to?
Shooby Doo, or Shooby
Shooby-Doo.
Shooby
Okay.
Doo.
Let's have a listen to Shooby-Doo. Here we go. That's delightfully repetitive. Alex, what can you tell us about Shooby-Doo by Madonna?
You'd be surprised to learn that there's not much known on the internet about Shooby-Doo by Madonna. It's the 7th track on the 1984 album Like a Virgin, which was produced by Nile Rodgers.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. It was released as the B-side to the album's final single, Dress You Up, which I have never heard of, in the summer of 1985. That single, interestingly, was included on Tipper Gore's Parents Music Resource Centre's Filthy 15 list due to the sexual innuendo of its lyrics.
Ooh, wow.
But not the one we're talking about.
Not the one we're talking about. Okay, so a different song.
Different
Useful.
song fact there.
Thank you.
It's not a great song, is it?
It's not great at all.
It's not that good.
Alex, you're a drummer. Am I right in saying that has a live drum kit on it?
Yes, it does. It has the band from Chic play on the whole record, on the whole Like a Virgin record.
I mean, I think it's
much.
quite... if you get into the point where you're saying, well, it's good that it's got a live drum kit on it, that's the level of song that you're at. It's like, at least there's a live drum kit. Because a lot of the songs at the time didn't have live drum kits, right? It was all drum machines around that time. The other thing I think about Madonna is that I don't think many people know her albums. Do you think, is that a controversial thing to think that?
I would say yes, because she has such a massive following from the LGBT plus Q community.
Right.
That I would say that they, and you know, me, a child of the 80s, and my friends would definitely know about her albums, I think.
Okay.
My problem was that my introduction to Madonna was the Immaculate Collection.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
which
what I
is
was
like
gonna say.
the first greatest hits.
Yeah.
So to me, I didn't know that this was, you know, Like a Virgin. I listened to at the gym last week, and it's got like a couple of big singles on it, and then you've got to go into is it like a prayer?
Like a Prayer. Yeah, I was about to say that.
And then there's a couple more big singles on that, but for me, it all came in one big package on the Immaculate Collection, which my parents played in the car relentlessly.
Kelly, your time in the waiting room is almost over. From here, you will journey across the stomach pits of Ammonholm, where the devious creatures in the underworld dwell. We are, of course, talking about the earworms. To keep them at bay, you will need to feed them a track which, once stuck in your head, you can never get out.
It's Skibbity Toilet, and it goes skibbity bop 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 yep yep skibbity bop yep yep, and it goes on and on like that for ages.
So normally when I play the music, I play about 30 seconds of the track.
Yeah.
This one I'm going to play the whole thing. Here we go.
Oh, no.
My style is ridiculous.
Skibbity dum dum dum, yes yes. Skibbity dum dum dim dim. Skibbity dum dum dum, yes yes. Skibbity dum dum dim dim.
We're here to hurt nobody.
Skibbity skibbity skibbity.
And that's it. That's
Oh
the whole
my
thing.
God! And for
That
the
is the
rest
whole
of the
thing.
day, that is just going in my head.
That is the whole thing. 15 seconds long. Well, okay. Alex, introduce us to this incredible piece of fuckery.
This
All right, go on.
is the song that soundtracks the Skibbity Toilet series of YouTube videos by Alexei Gerasimov on his channel Da Fuck Boom. Skibbity Toilet is a machinima web series, which means using real-time graphic engines to create cinema-style productions. Skibbity Toilet tells the story of a fictional war between human-headed toilets and humanoid characters with electronic devices for heads. It is largely popular with people born after 2010, Generation Alpha. An unlicensed mashup of the songs Give It To Me by Timbaland and Dom Dom Yes Yes by Bulgarian artist Bizer King, created by TikTok user at Doombreaker03, appears in each episode as the theme of the Skibbity Toilets.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it sounds like you got AI to write that intro. Like, one of the things I get, like, I always try and keep an open mind about stuff that kids like, because I get it that when I was a little kid, I liked stuff that my parents didn't understand, and that was part of the appeal. But to me, they have stood the test of time. This makes me worry for the future of the human race. But Kelly, tell us about how you have come to know this thing that you've now passed on to me, and I am not happy about.
But it's weirdly like satisfying every now and again when you just say it. Skibbity toilet. So my kids aren't really allowed on devices very often because they're 8. They don't need a phone.
Right.
They don't need a tablet. They're 8. But obviously for purposes of bribery, it is sometimes essential to say,
Right.
look, you can go on and watch kids YouTube for 10 minutes if you do this or whatever. Anyway, so Louis, my son, got told about Skibbity Toilet and has become obsessed by it and plays it all the time, sings it all the time, and it gets in my head and it just won't go. But because I love him so much. Obviously, I have affection towards it, but fucking hell, it's so annoying. He'll just say it sometimes to me, like, he said, no, mum, skibbity bop bop bop, yes, and I'm like, oh my God.
You have no idea how many people we talk to have something they're taking into hell with them that has been put there by a child who is deliberately trying to destroy their brain.
Yes.
I watched one episode of the Skibbity Toilet, whatever it is, program, I guess.
Machinima.
It's quite hard to explain to listeners what it is if you haven't seen it. I don't have kids myself, so I'm sure that there will be lots of people listening who will understand what it is.
It's not the worst thing on YouTube.
I mean, this is quite a low bar.
It's quite low grade.
Yeah, but no, my son has got into watching. I mean, he puts YouTube on, and it's a losing battle because it's on the telly, and he can just put it on. They play YouTube Shorts, which are like TikTok things, sort of 15 seconds, and they seem to be. There's loads and loads of. They must be computer generated, but they've gone on Reddit. And they found like a story from one of the posts, and they've got an AI reading it out over like a satisfying video, sort of people shoeing a horse or icing a cake or squashing a piece of cheese underneath a massive press.
Right.
And it just plays it on top of that. And so it's this weird computer-generated voice reading a Reddit story about someone asking if they're an idiot on top of this hypnotizing video of someone. And it feels like this kind of it must be some kind of psyop to just ruin children's minds.
As I said, I try and keep an open mind about this stuff, but I am slightly worried for the future of narrative storytelling, because this toilet thing is just like there's a toilet that has a head in it,
Yes.
and it like hops along.
Are there not more than one toilet?
Oh no,
It's like a whole species.
Yeah,
there are
headed.
later
Yeah.
episodes with more toilets in them, and then there's like a giant toilet as well. And
Yeah.
when the giant toilet comes in, the song plays much slower, so his voice sounds lower. And
they just talk the song. That's all they.
The entire thing is that 15 seconds
Yeah.
of that song. Or, you know, it might be like low or whatever, but it's like 15 seconds of like skibbity dub 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 ruff, ruff, right? And so now it's in my brain. But that's it. But like I watched it, and I was like, I do not understand what story that was telling. But there are millions of people who are watching it and are like glued to like the story.
It's like sort of crack cocaine. But Kelly, you do a proper kids show.
I thought you say you do crack cocaine.
Speaking of crack cocaine, but you do a proper kids program, so you must have quite high standards about what you let your kids watch. I was thinking.
Oh, I do one called Biff and Chip.
Yes,
It's based
that's
on
what I was thinking of.
the popular Biff and Chip and Kipper books
Yeah.
from the Oxford School of Reading. Yeah, I mean, I every time Louis and Pearl are naughty, I do say to them, I'm going to put Biff and Chip on, and they're like, "No, mummy."
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So there's basically a war of attrition going on in your house, where they launch a skibbity attack at you and you bat it back with a Biff and Chipper.
Exactly. But I do worry about, obviously, what you're talking about stories and narrative, and you know, my job, you know, being an actor, and how things are changing, and people aren't consuming TV how they were, and you know, the YouTube culture and TikTok and all that. It's going to be interesting, stroke terrifying, what's going to happen over the next 5-10 years.
When I was a kid, like the things that I watched have obviously gone on to inform like what I like now and the kind of things that I seek to create. And I just think, like, if that's like my base was He-Man,
Yeah.
right? If their base is this talking toilet thing that doesn't have any like narrative through line, it's like at least like He-Man had a story. It was the same story every week, but it had a story. So I do wonder what this generation will create in 20 years, like what we will see. What will movies be like?
I think there's some hope, because I asked my son, who is, I forgot, how old is he?
10 or 11.
11. I asked him what he thought of Skibbity Toilet, and he described it as a very bad meme.
Oh.
So there's some hope.
Classy. I like the sound of your son.
He watches utter dross the most of the time.
He does watch cheese being.
Yeah,
Yes.
squashed. I say, put something. Can you not just put something else on? We've got Disney, we've got Netflix, and he said, "Oh, there's nothing on them. There's nothing on them."
What?
It's like I sound like such an old man. When I was a kid, you had 2 hours of kids' TV in the afternoon, and you were happy. Maybe you had something on a Saturday afternoon.
The raccoons.
He's got the
the
whole
raccoons.
world. He's got the whole world at his fingertips. There's nothing.
Make him
on.
watch the raccoons, even if it's just the theme tune.
Yeah.
That's enough. So that is the call of Tracy from HR. She must have done your work placement. So while I go and see what she has in store, Alex, can you recap Kellie Shirley's Infernal playlist for me, please?
I can. Track number 1, a track that Kelly is embarrassed that she used to like, is, for the purposes of this, Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, but pretty much anything by Michael Jackson. Track number 2, a track that is universally adored that Kelly cannot stand, Patience by Take That. Track number 3, a track that brings her down, The Smiths. Track number 4, a track that Kelly hates by an artist that she loves, it's Shooby-Doo by Madonna. And track number 5, a track once stuck in your head you can never get out, Skibbity Toilet. Dan has written here it's by some internet moron. It was by @Doombreaker03. So, Kelly, which of those 5 songs would you least like to hear on repeat? Which is the worst of those?
I think the Billie Jean.
I have just back from Tracy. It turns out you've been allocated work in our vomitorium. So this is a very special area of hell where there are demons made out of sick, and all they do is puke on each other all day long. And someone's got to clear that up.
Oh my God, it's making my tummy go funny.
It's going to be you, vomit creatures, vomiting, you in the middle. It's going to be like that episode of Blue Peter with the elephant, and they're all sliding around in the wee, only it'll be you sliding around in the sick, trying to clear it up. It's going to be a bit slapstick. The vomit creature's just going to be vomiting everywhere.
Stop. It's horrible.
So, how do you feel about that?
Can I have some PPE, please?
Yeah, we can probably get you some of that, but it'll be the crappy Tory
Michelle Moan.
half-arsed one. Yeah, it'll be some Michelle Moan PPE, so it won't do you any good. But at least we can say we gave it to you then.
Yeah.
So now it's time to say goodbye. You will be taken from this place and given one of our patented internal jukeboxes, which will load up your head with the 5 tracks you will meet in hell. Before you go, is there anything you'd like to tell the listeners to check out? Maybe remind them when Raw is out, perhaps?
Yes. So thank you very much, by the way. I really enjoyed this painful, hellish hell that you put me through. It's been lovely. If anyone wants to listen to a bit of drama, podcast drama, it's called Raw, ROAR, Raw Like a Lioness, and it is on all podcast platforms. They're like 20 minutes, 25 minutes long, and it's anything made from It Goes to Children's Society. From the 15th, from the 14th, because it keeps at 14th of June onwards.
14th of June. So as you listen to this, that should have been last Friday, ladies and gents. So they'll be listening to this on the Monday. It'll come out on the Friday, so get and listen to that right now. Kellie Shirley, thank you. And now, go to hell. Hellish was written and presented by me, Daniel Whelan, and Satan's medical prepper of dry bread, Alex Gale. You can support the show on patreon.com/hellishpod. Find us on social media at hellishpod, apart from Instagram where it's hellish_pod. You can listen to nearly all of Kelly's choices and our ongoing Ultimate Infernal playlist, bringing everyone's choices together at hellishpod on Spotify. Until next time, damn you all to hell.